All right. Thanks everyone for joining. This will be recorded, so I will make sure to get that in the hands of Jeremy Uhas and Travis and the central office team. My name is Sean Miller. With HaulHub Technologies. Our platform is the eDOT platform, which is largely based a centralized cloud-based platform for e-ticketing, but also other e-construction capabilities like work zone safety, and also tracking carbon footprinting through EPDs attached to mix IDs. So here, today we're going to focus on e-ticketing, but I will touch on some work zone stuff, some samples that you can take and track digitally for your lab and QC folks. I'm based in Atlanta, Georgia, grew up in Knoxville, Tennessee, and I am the main point of contact for South Carolina DOT. And we also have a support team that you can reach out to. I know on some projects that some of you all have already been active or participating in our portal out there on site. You've already, maybe reported an outage or a project hadn't been calibrated or connected yet by the contractor supplier. So that's all good stuff, and I'll be touching on that. Our support team's great. And yeah, for this call, any questions you have throughout, don't hesitate to type those in the chat. Because this is recorded, and at the very end, we're going to make sure we capture all of that and then get all the answers for you all, with whether that be today or this week. And also at any point, obviously, you can direct all questions to Jeremy Uhas and Travis Driggers, who, are in touch with me on a daily basis, essentially, as, we try to roll out, digital ticketing or e-ticketing across the state of South Carolina. So what you're seeing right now is HaulHub's main webpage, which is e-dot.com. This is where all of our platforms kind of live in one central environment. So within eDOT, we have portals for the agency. We have a portal for the contractor. This is for material vendors for other materials that we're not going to focus on today, like steel pipe and rebar. But then the plants that we're integrated with or receiving our real-time material ticket information, so largely hot mix asphalt, your aggregate quarry sites, and then your PCC or ready mix concrete plants. This is, those suppliers' own instance. How we obtain material information is we have really two methods. We have a software, it's a read-only connector that we work with suppliers to install on their loadout system database, where they are inputting their material truckload information, and then we simply read that and we pull that information into our system and format that in the form of an e-ticket. The other way is for the supplier to be able to push the information into our system. So instead of using our software connector on their loadout system database, they're actually able to set up a real-time push whenever they generate new tickets for any project out of any of their plant locations. Then that data also transmits into our system in the format of an e-ticket. So when we start beginning to receive this information, that's only visible for the supplier who owns the plant. Once the information is in HaulHub, the supplier and their portal here, we call it Supplier CI, they permission that data for those projects and those customers to be in view for both the contractor, whoever the prime contractor, general contractor is, who is working with the state, and then also for the state themselves. This is a one-time connection for each project. And once they do that, when the project begins or our system sees just one single ticket that is unique for that contract, they don't have to make that connection on a daily basis, no matter if the plant changes, if the job site changes, so long as the contract and job number remain the same. All material tickets under that job ID will be in view for both the customer of them or the prime contractor, if it's not them themselves who also are the prime contractor, and it'll also be in view for the inspectors out in the field. So just to give some, clarity on how this works, say Rogers Group in this instance has a project that is upcoming. They can generate a test ticket, a sample ticket with the contract information. That data then immediately transmits to our system. As soon as they generate that ticket, their project will show here. They will hit connect. They will select the DOT authority, in this case, South Carolina. And then they will actually have a list that is managed by AASHTO Project, which is on a nightly basis refreshing our system with all of the South Carolina file or contract numbers and information. And all they need to do is just say, yep, all tickets for our job project should also flow to all the inspectors who have access, and not just inspectors, but consultants, back office folks, anyone who is assigned to this project as well, an AASHTO project going forward. Then they hit this connect button. Once they do that, it becomes a connected project. And going forward, as trucks load out day to day, all the tickets will be in view for the agency. If a general contractor is the one who is the prime for the state job, and they are pulling materials from, say, a supplier like Rogers Group, then Rogers Group can set them up as an e-ticket customer in their account, which us and our support team helps the suppliers build that list out on the front end so that they're not worrying about it the day of or right before a project begins. And the contractors have access to what we call job slip. So this is both a web portal and a mobile app, just like the agency has, but not the exact same. But essentially, they can view all their projects and tickets. But for the sake of showing how they connect it, it's the exact same as the supplier. They're going to see that sample ticket or the first truckload ticket for a job. Our system automatically, generates that and buckets it under the project number and ID. And then they can just go hit connect, select the DOT authority, and then match it up to the appropriate contract, and then they're done. Now, once they do that, then all the inspectors out in the field, back office folks on both the eDOT Inspector app and the eDOT web portal, which is what all the folks here will be using, you guys will see that information in real time. The mobile app that we'll be using, or that you guys will be using, is in your app store, if you have not downloaded it yet, is eDOT Inspector. And it looks like this purple app right here. I'm just going to kind of expand the mobile screen right now. Once you get the app downloaded, you should already have access to this. And you're going to log in, and you're going to see all of the projects that you have access to that are running today. Today for us and our platform is anything that started at or after 5 a.m. and it'll be all the way up to 4:59 p.m. We then kind of separate shifts into night work. So then all the projects starting after 5 p.m. today, all the way out to 5 a.m. tomorrow morning, will reflect here. Since we're not at 5 p.m. yet, what we're looking at for night job is everything that ran last night. So this is yesterday at 5 p.m. through today at 4:59 a.m. Before I start jumping into a project and viewing tickets, I'm going to go to the account settings. And when you first log into this app, you're going to be automatically prompted to create an e-signature. So you just draw it with your finger one time, save it, and then going forward, if you're ever out on site or in the back office and you make certain adjustments or you mark a ticket delivered out on the field or reject a ticketed load, then your e-signature date and timestamp is going to be applied to those tickets automatically. One other thing to note is if you want some additional trucking analytics, then you can, when you first log in, go to your account settings and then make sure all of these boxes are checked on. And we'll get into what information that provides you in your project when you're out there on site. So I'm going to go to today. And then we're going to view this project right here that currently, as of today, has loaded out 1,124.01 tons. This is the file or contract number with the contract description. And I'm going to tap into this project. So we can see here that there's been 52 ticketed loads today. And so far, none of the tickets have been marked. All of our tickets by default are in a pending status. So when the plant generates a ticket, a truckload ticket, our system is going to show that as a pending ticket until three things happen. Either A, very rarely, but it does happen, the supplier would generate it and then void it. Maybe they put the wrong truck number on there. Maybe they put the wrong job number or mix ID, and they're going to void the ticket at the plant and regenerate a new ticket. That would still be considered load one. You'll see this change to void if so. And that's not something that you guys can control or adjust. That's just the supplier doing it, but we'll still have that ticket in view for you if you wish to reference it. The other two statuses to focus on would be the truck arrives, you do your inspection, and then you mark the ticket as delivered. So that means you're accepting the material that the truck has delivered on site. And then the other status that this could show is the truck arrives, and for whatever reason, you go to more actions here, and you actually reject the truckload ticket. So if you do reject the ticket, then it will require you to put a reason. And then you would just hit reject. So you can see that that ticket fell out of my view. Load one is gone. That's because by default, we have a status set to only show you the pending loads, assuming that if everybody's marking the tickets out there on site, you're only going to need to see while you're out there the trucks that are still on the road, or maybe they just arrived on site but are awaiting inspection. If you still want to see all the tickets regardless of what status they are in throughout your shift, then just click this X here to take off the status filter, and we'll always make sure we show each ticketed load in your view. So this is pretty much where you live for your entire shift. After you tap into your project, then you're just going to see these tickets throughout your shift. This is your unique ticket number. This is the load number. The daily total is going to be the daily total net tonnage that has been loaded out at the plant. This is the date and time that the truck was loaded out at the plant. Then this is your truck number, along with the net tonnage of material and the product description or material description. You can see here, if you want to put a station, you can. You can enter the station there and it'll track. And then also, if you want to add notes, you click the notes. And this is where you can put any sort of field temperatures. You can also mark the station here. If you want to add waste, you can. So if I put a 2 here, or maybe it's a 2.5, that means there's 2.5 tons of waste that we want to automatically subtract off of the total net tonnage of this truckload that we're still going to accept. So you're not going to accept 2.5 of the total, but you're going to accept the rest of it. So this will automatically subtract from the total for that ticket. So if there is a plant inspector, they're able to also have access and see the tickets. If they want to, jot down their name here, even though they're not going to be the ones marking the ticket as delivered, but maybe they reject at the plant. That is an option to have. They can put their name here, but also if they do reject a truckload before it left the plant, then their e-signature would automatically be stamped on here anyways. And then we also have a general notes section here to reference. Whoops. So at any point you can update the notes, and also at any point you are able to undo any actions that you may have taken on a material ticket. So for example, obviously I don't want this ticket to show as rejected because this is just a demonstration. So if I go back to more actions, I can set it back to pending status, or maybe set it back to marked delivered if there was a reason. You can do a lot of things to a ticket, if you need to. Nothing that you do will ever be permanent for the most part. So this is obviously a new process. You might accidentally select the wrong ticket, or you might accidentally mark the wrong ticket delivered. You can go back and set it to a pending status. Same goes for, your station and notes. If you mark a station, then you can always go back and adjust it. And same for the notes. So if you want to see all of the information that is being supplied by the supplier and contractor for this ticket, then you just need to tap into the body of the ticket. And this is where you're going to see the full, what we call raw ticket data, but all the field information that you guys require per your spec should be in this view here. If you want, you can scroll down, or you can minimize this section. If you want to look at the weights, here's your gross, net, and tear for this ticketed load. Typically, we're pulling at least tons and pounds. Sometimes it just depends on the loadout system the supplier's using, whether we're receiving metric tons. And then reconciliation is going to be whenever you accept any ticketed load, then it's going to prompt you to pay code the item. So what's that look like? I'm tapped in all the way into the ticketed view. I could hit mark delivered here, just like I could have on the higher level view of this ticket. So if I click mark delivered, it's gonna prompt me to say, okay, this ticket number for 22.11 tons. I could just hit confirm delivery, but the prompt here is giving you the option to click search items and actually pay code this item. So maybe I want to search by tonnage if it's asphalt, for example, and then you can go ahead and click, search or scroll. You're able to search up here if you want to just put course or course type B, but let's just say this is course type B, and I'm going to select that pay item. And then I'm going to click this use net button, which is saying that I want the total net tonnage of this truckload to be applied for this pay item code, so that after the pay period closes, the estimator can review this, and that's what you're going to pay out under this pay item. Then I'll hit confirm delivery, success. And then now if I minimize and go down to this inspector review, then that's where I'm going to see who is the inspector, what date and time, and here's the e-signature. Was this load accepted? And then here's any information that I may have added at the time regarding temperature, station, waste, etc. If I want to go look at reconciliation, then this would be the net tonnage that we're going to pay under this line item pay item number here. So there's load 1. If I want to go to load 2, and I'm going to mark that delivered, we're going to show your last selected pay item number to apply to this ticketed load. So if it's the same material for each truckload for the day, instead of having to search each time after the first ticket has a pay item code applied to it, we're going to save it up here for you to quick select. And then let's say you guys are going to use all of the material for this ticketed load, but you're not going to pay for all the tonnage. Then after you select your pay item, whether that's your most recent one or you search it in the entire list of contract items that gets fed from Ashdoware Project, then you can also select do not pay. And then you can apply whatever amount you want for not paying. So maybe you're going to say, we're not going to pay for 5 tons of this, 21.81, net tonnage load. So then we're going to pay for 16.81 tons of the material. Then you can add a note here. And hit confirm delivery. So I'm going to go to load number 3. And I'm going to mark this load as rejected. Again, you can see that there's a lot of options here. If you want to just flag the ticket, even if you were going to mark it delivered, if you wanted to flag this ticket and add a note I'll show you guys on the web where all of we have different buckets for ticket statuses. One of them is a flagged ticket. So if you have a reason you're going to want to go back to or point others who have access to this project to go view this in the back office or after the shift's over, then you can flag the ticket and put any reason here. And I'm going to go to more actions and reject the load. Oops. So that's mainly it from just marking the tickets perspective. Again, you log into your app, you're going to find your project, you're going to select your project, and then you're going to be viewing these tickets starting at load 1 throughout your shift. Now let me go try to find a project where some tickets have been marked on the day. Give me 1 second here. Okay, so here I know that tickets have been marked because there's been 11 total loads. We're showing at load 8 through 11 here. And I know that if I click this status symbol, that I'm going to see that these load 1 through 7 have been marked delivered. And if I want to tap into that information and go view the inspector, here's the inspector that has been working this project here. One thing to note is that going back to what I was saying about anything that's marked on a ticket, whether it's a note or a status it's put in, can always be undone. But if there's ever a reason that you need to dive into what has happened to a ticket, we have an audit log for each individual ticket here that you can click. And we are going to track everything that's happened to this ticket ever since the supplier created it, which is what we consider the external system, to when we received the ticket information. So you can see here that they actually generated it at 7:35 a.m., which we would actually note in our raw ticket data as the created time. But the ticket wasn't in view in our platform until 7:40. Typically, this should never be longer than 5 minutes. Definitely well before the truck ever arrives on site, you should be able to see all ticket information. If not, that means that there's something going on with our integration with that supplier. So then you can see here when the inspector marked it, we captured his lat long. So then if he goes and adds a note later on, he adds a temperature or adds some other notes, then we'll see the constant tracking of whatever happened with this ticket. The other thing you can do is take a picture and attach that to this ticket. So if I want to go to photos and I want to hit upload image, then I can hit take photo and take a picture right then and there, and then it'll save it into this ticket. And it'll also save it on the web under the project in a bucket that says photos that everyone will be able to also view. And that image will also have a reference to the ticket, the date, and the timestamp, and what inspector took this image. So you don't have to take the picture of, whether it's of the truck, of the material, or of the job site generally. You don't have to take the picture beforehand and then select it as a saved picture, even though you can. You can go to photos within material ticket and take that picture right then and there. So when I was mentioning in your account settings, checking all the boxes at the bottom, that would be in reference to our clipboard reports. So we have a lot of different reports that you can view while you're out there on shift, and you can actually use them to view the tickets and mark the tickets. So our first one is a project overview. All of our reports are going to have an information symbol here that's going to basically tell you what the report's trying to relay. Most of the time it's obvious. There might be a few of these reports where it's not, so you want to hit that and get some context. But this is going to show us that so far in the day, across the 11 ticketed loads that have been generated at the plant, that's been for a total of 228.81 net tons. All the tickets, the 7 loads that have been marked delivered, that's a total of 145.13 tons. There haven't been any loads rejected so far for this project. Otherwise, we would see the total tonnage of those rejected tickets here. There hasn't been any waste that's been marked on the project so far. Otherwise, we would see that total tonnage here. And then there's still 83.68 total tons pending. So they've been loaded out, but they have not arrived on site and also been inspected. So you can swipe left, or you can just click this filter up here to go through all our different reports. The delivery report is going to show you your trucking lineup based on the truck IDs that are on the material tickets for this shift. Every single symbol is going to represent a truckload of material that they've picked up and hauled. So, if it's a green check mark, that's representing a truckload ticket that has been marked out in the field as delivered. And I can select these symbols, and I can see at the bottom, this is load 1 for the day, this ticket number, this material, etc. And then you can click on the ticket at the bottom and just anywhere in the body to go back into our drilled in view where you're viewing all of the field information, where you can view the audit log, take a photo. There's not a functionality yet for test results, so that's something that's future. So that's why I'm not covering on that. And then, if you want to operate from these clipboard reports, you can go through and mark the tickets delivered or add your notes, here. And then if you just back out, you'll be back at this view. And maybe this is your preference throughout the project, but most inspectors, are on what we call the tickets page, just seeing the tickets generate here. So we got delivery report. Again, we're going to look at our trucking lineup. We have a load time report, and we're going to highlight in blue the last timestamp that a truck is loaded out for this shift at the plant. And then we have a loaded quantity report, which is just aggregating every time the truck loads out, et cetera. I'm not going to go through all of these. One of the last ones will be round trip report. So this is going to tell you how long the trucks are taking from the plant to get the material to deliver it on site to go pick up their next load. So that's what we consider that one round. And this is going to tell you how quick the trucks are moving. That's all based on the timestamps of the tickets. So we're just calculating the total minutes between each timestamp of every load that they're picking up. And then last but not least, if you want to see a quantity by material type, if there were multiple materials being hauled for this job on this shift, you would see the ticket count and the total net tonnage for that product. So moving up here, we're going to go through some other features. That's essentially what you do when you're out there looking at the tickets. When the trucks arrive, you can add your notes, mark the tickets however you need to. And then up here, if as an inspector, you are taking a core sample for asphalt, or maybe a cylinder sample for concrete, you can actually log samples, and your lab QC folks can actually, in the portal on the mobile app, view those and geolocate them and track them. So how that works is you just go to samples in your project, click log first sample. Then it's going to say, okay, select the material the sample's for. So we're only going to populate or show here and only the materials that have been ticketed under this job. Then we're going to say, okay, choose your ticket for reference. Maybe this is for load 10 that the sample was taken. Then we're going to populate some information around that ticket. And then here under inspection fields, you're able to click this pencil button, select your sample method. You can select the time that you're taking the sample. So we'll default to the current time, and then you could just click it and click off, and it'll slap that sample time there. And then you can put your lot number here. Maybe some states they do, lot number dash sublot. So whatever that could look like, you could also put that here and hit update. If you want to take an image or attach an image for this sample, then you can click add photo, and it's going to be the same process as I was showing you within a ticket the raw ticket data, attaching a photo for it. That's the same for the sample here. You can select a saved picture or take an image right then and there. So we're automatically going to geostamp or geolocate your device when you're taking the sample. And then an optional field is to set it as a high or normal priority. We're going to default that this is sampled by me as the user. But if you need to attach another user for this sample, you can do that. And I'm just going to remove that. And then if you want to add any lab notes for the QC folks, then you can, and hit create. So then throughout the shift, we're going to show all your samples that have been logged here, and then the lab and QC folks who have access to this as well can go reference that. Moving on, I'm going to go to work zones. So at HaulHub, we have an agreement and an established connection feed to Waze and other public GPS platforms. And if you guys want to, you can set up work zone feeds with either, if the contractor were to ever agree to pairing their equipment that they're using, such as the paver, the roller, they can do that. But we also can arm a work zone and have the data be transmitting to Waze, for example, that it's an active site with workers present based on after you create the work zone here one time for the job. So it's not a daily thing that the job runs. This is a one-time setup. Then whenever tickets are loading out at the plant, then the Waze or whatever public Google Maps, whatever it may be, will be alerting that this is an active site that they're approaching with any details you add. So what's that look like? You would create the work zone here. And then, it asks what road you're working on. So you could, type in the road. And what kind of road event will this project cause? Most of our feeds for states that are using this just put work zone area. It's not a reroute. And then in which direction is this happening? And then specify the work zone boundary. So this is going to geolocate you, and then you would basically say, okay, where is the project starting? And then you would basically draw this out one time. And then finish. And then there's some additional options as well. So this is a default. We can actually adjust this, but this is what would be being relayed by the public transportation forums. And then if you want to add the detail of, any method of indication for the public, maybe you're using a sign method, and does the job location impact any lanes? You could put some lanes closed and create that work zone. So once the work zone's created, then whenever the job starts, you would arm it, hit confirm, and then we would be transmitting this information to Waze and Google Maps. Now, I just did that for this project, and it's not actually transmitting any information right now because we have to do a back-end activation for the data to actually transmit to the public transportation forums. But that's how this would be set up on the front end of a project. And then that if it's armed day to day when the job's running, trucks are loading out at the plant, we're seeing those tickets from the moment the first truck in the morning or in the evening loads out. Then the transportation forums, public motorists are going to be seeing a notification that there's an active construction site at the location that you designated. So moving from left to right, here's the photos. So this would be a grouping of where all photos taken throughout the project, not just on the shift, but throughout the job, are going to reflect. So if you ever need to take an image, you can either do it within the ticket like I showed earlier, or you can actually upload a photo for the general project here, and we'll have those images bucketed here and on the web for folks to reference. Our document scanner is if there's ever a reason in any documentation that you want to attach to, the project for this shift, then you can, with your device, hit Add Document, and you can either attach it as a photo, but to me, that's kind of pointless to do in this section since you could just take a picture of it in our photos area. But if you want to scan this in as a PDF, then you just click Scan Documents and say this is, a material ticket or some sort of document out there in the field. You just hold it up to it and then click Save. And it'll create that PDF document and attach it here for you. A lot of times you got to refresh for it to actually show the image that it scanned. There we go. So once it's here, then it's going to be attached in a document section to the project on the web side, and then anyone can download that as a PDF. So our yield calculator, this is basically as you're receiving in, say, asphalt tickets, for every ticket that's been accepted or marked as delivered, if you want to run a yield test to see, and input your depth, your width, your theoretical max density, and run that across a starting station and ending station, however many truckloads that consists of, we'll spit out a rate that you are that the material is being used compared to the material that should be used. So this is going to be like the first ticket that I've accepted for the day. I'm going to click the Start button, and then I'm going to put in a station. I'm going to say this is 6 feet wide, 2 inches thick, that's being paved. And I'm just going to put in a value for our theoretical max density. For demonstration purposes, this may not come out as a legitimate output, but then say I'm going to run that yield test across the next truckload or maybe the next two, and I'm going to click just the Stop button wherever I want to end the yield test for. And then I'm just going to update my station. And hit End Test. So what this is telling me is that based on the start area and the ending area, and then my depth, width, and theoretical max, the actual net tonnage across those three truckload tickets was 62.11 net tons. But based on my inputs, all we technically needed was 14.77. So we ran over, we used 420% of what we actually needed based on my inputs. So talking with Travis and Jeremy and team, I understand that you guys calculate the rate differently, and that is something we're going to explore at setting up those conversions and inputs to potentially have that available so that you guys can calculate your rate, how you're accustomed to seeing that. So as we kind of get to the end here, left to right, the report issue button is pretty important. So if, especially as, this state gets rolling and starts getting accustomed, it's not just about the agency and inspectors using this day-to-day, it's also getting the contractors and suppliers trained that whenever, they have the pre-construction meeting, that they really should best practice print a sample ticket and go ahead and calibrate the job before it actually begins, so that when it does begin, there's not, you're not out there with your device and a truck shows up and you're not seeing any tickets. You're not seeing your project. So, but if that ever does happen, or there's just, maybe it's day 3 on the job, you've been seeing the tickets, but you're missing one in particular or a group of them, then you can report an issue here, and you just hit report a new issue. And then we're going to ask you what type of issue it is you're reporting. So you could say no tickets for today, or saw a few tickets, but they stopped. We're automatically going to have the project you're in selected here. A lot of this we're going to pre-populate. So if we've already seen tickets for this job at any point and it's likely going to be that same supplier, then we'll just have it here for you to select. You know, what plant is it coming from? If it's still coming from the same plant, or if it's a different one, you can type that plant name in here. But for this sake, we'll just click Florence. It does help if you guys give us the name of the contractor if it isn't also the supplier of the material. But this isn't a required field you have to fill out. If it is just 1 or 2 tickets, it also helps if you add in the ticket number. So then if we do have your mobile number attached to your profile, then we'll note that. But at the very least, we're going to have your email and your name when you report this. Then you just submit the issue. Issue submitted for the day. And then that's going to be in a reported status. That's going to notify myself and our entire support team. And then we're going to move this, see the details you put, and then move it to acknowledged, to working in progress, to resolved. And this is the quickest way to resolve this. In addition, whenever an outage is reported, it also notifies the supplier themselves, a contact that we had that we worked on the integration with. And typically, this is going to be an issue that we need to reach out and either just train the supplier contractor to make sure they calibrate the job, or we need to investigate why, maybe ticket stopped, or why maybe they loaded out a ticket under the wrong job number, etc. It could be a number of things that typically we can resolve within your shift. And then last but not least is our offline mode. So I'm going to demonstrate this and also note where else you can report issues outside of the project. So if I go back here, if you're working in a dead zone from day one, or from the start of that day, then you're not going to see your project. Even though the tickets are going to be transmitting into our system, you're not going to actually see that job because your device isn't in a spot where it's getting any signal. So for the reporting issue, you would do that from here. This would be if the job isn't calibrated, but you are getting signal. But then if you are offline, it's going to show offline here in red. And then you're just going to click here. And this is going to be where you can actually take the paper ticket as a backup from the truck driver. You're going to select the project that you're working. You're going to input the last 4 digits of that ticket number on that paper ticket that you would still need to get from the truck driver. And then you're going to still digitally mark, is this going to be delivered? Is it good to go? Are you rejecting the load? Either way, you can still add all your information digitally. And then you're going to hit create that ticket. So that is going to cause throughout the shift, that's how you're going to input all of your information digitally. As you do that, then all the tickets are going to be bucketed in this pending status throughout the shift. And then as soon as you're done with your shift, you go back to the office or go back home. You come into service. Then based on the last 4 digits of each unique ticket number, it's going to reconcile automatically and push all the updates you made to the tickets that were actually being generated at the plant, but just not in view for your device. And you'll know that it automatically transmitted all of your updates to the tickets within the portal, because it'll go from a pending ticket to a sent ticket. So that's pretty much most of all of our features that you guys would need to be aware of for the mobile side. Travis, Jeremy, was there anything you wanted me to touch on before switching over to the web right now?
No, I think you covered that. I did want to point out whenever changes are made to a ticket, if you go back and change from delivered to rejected, or vice versa, that there is that audit trail that we can track those changes. I see someone in the chat asked about the changes.
Yep, good call. Yeah, and the audit trail is also going to be available on the web for every single ticket as well. So it's not just a mobile app feature. All right, so I'm going to.
Oh, Sean, I apologize.
Yep.
I didn't know if you wanted to answer them now or wait to the end, but it looks like there's only a handful of questions regarding the mobile app. I didn't know if you wanted to address it while you had that open, or if you wanted to wait till the end.
No, that totally works. Let's go ahead and run through that. So we got the audit trail one. Let's see. Okay, so yeah, let's go ahead. Let me scroll up to the top, make sure I'm not missing anything. Does the contractor have to list a reason for reprinting a ticket? No, they do not. They don't have to in our system. The contractor does have the ability to add a note to the ticket on the job slip app. And if they do, then you're able to reference that note. Let me just expand my mobile screen again. So say they generate a ticket, then they void it and generate a new one. If you guys wanted them to add a note in the voided ticket that you would still be able to see here, and if we click into the ticket, then we can see inspector review is where all the notes and the status and the inspector's e-signature gets timestamped. But they also have that ability on the contractor side, even though that doesn't affect any of the reporting and doesn't affect whatever tickets you guys are marking. But they could add a note here if you guys wanted them to, but our system does not require that. And then who is responsible for marking a ticket delivered, inspector or contractor? That would be the inspector. Or consultant, consultant, obviously, if it's not within the agency, inspector. Whoever on the agency's behalf is supposed to be inspecting and signing off on the material being used. So Travis or Jeremy, I might need your help contextually for this, but how do you account for a truck out of sequence when working from the 400.04 form? So, I mean, that is a good question. If, you're looking at load 2 here, truck number 673, they load out at, 609. But then, truck number 679, who loaded out 2 minutes after, arrives before. It's just understanding or knowing. I don't know how common it is, that the truck numbers are visible on the trucks, but I know a lot of states that isn't always the case. However, more and more states are going to start to require that the truck number is very visible, so that if, truck number 679 for load 3 arrives before load 2, you guys still know that by looking at this truck number here.
Yeah, I think the question is speaking to how he or she labels the 400.04 roadway report. It would be the same as if we received a truck with a paper ticket that came out of order. We would handle it the same.
All right, and then Bill Laney, are e-tickets required for all contractors on all South Carolina DOT contracts? I believe that is true for asphalt, ags, and concrete, or is it just for asphalt this season, Jeremy and Travis?
Right now, it is for asphalt. However, we acknowledge that the current specification we are operating off of was developed before going with the HaulHub portal. We intend to do some revisions and have that more effective, I think July 1st. But yeah, so technically it is required. Just the current spec doesn't speak to this portal necessarily.
All right, and then Brett, bidding, can you reverse the ticket orders to the most recent is at the top? That's a good question, and probably I could have emphasized a little bit more when you're in your project viewing the loads. We have these filters if you only want to see tickets for a certain type of material. Maybe you want to filter out the wrap, like if there's wrap tickets being pushed as well, then you can do that. You can just click and say you just want to see the asphalt, product descriptions that we're receiving. As far as being able, instead of seeing it by load one, seeing it by the most recent, then you would just click this button right here, which is by our default setting. But then you can click this and say ticketed old time, new to old. And so then you're always seeing the last load for your shift. So that's a good call or good question. So then there was another question, Dominique. Is it just for asphalt or does it also work with concrete? So it does work with concrete tickets. I don't think there's an example in the portal right now for concrete, but essentially a concrete ticket, we receive that information the same as we do for asphalt and ags. Obviously, with a concrete ticket, there's batch information, there's product mix breakout. I can, provide some examples to Travis and Jeremy to share out, but essentially, you would, if this was a concrete ticket, then we would tap into it. And if there would be two other sections here after weights. It'd be raw ticket data, it'd be weights, and then it'd be your product mix, and then it would be your batch weights. And the batch weights will reflect, the actual, and the moisture percentage, things like that. All your batch information will be viewable in a drop down like this. But as far as how we integrate with concrete plants, it's the same way as we do with asphalt plants.
And we haven't made that. We haven't decided to use concrete yet. That's going to be a future implementation.
All right, and then Terry Carter, it sounds like there's maybe some password issues. I'm going to note that and can get with you. I don't know if you would be needing to log in through the SSO, the department's SSO or not. So if you are set up under SSO, you probably can't update it because you need to actually, at the login screen, click sign in with SSO. And then go to your state, South Carolina. And then once you hit this sign in button, it's going to take you to the state's SSL login page. So if you were trying to hit create or forgot password, but you're set up under SSO, you have to actually go through this pathway.
The vast majority of our users should be set up using SSO. The DOT users should just be logging in with their DOT usernames and passwords, and then consultants with their company username and passwords, very similar to AWP.
All right, and then Roger, will you be able to see who made changes and what they changed? That is a yes through our audit logs, which is both on the mobile when you look at a ticket and on the web, which I'll showcase out on the web. Michael Garrett, how do you remove projects that are not my projects? So it depends on your user setting or user permission setting. I'll have to take a look at your account, but you should only have access to projects that you need access for. If you're set up as an inspector, a field inspector role, which is our role for anybody who's going to be marking the tickets as delivered or rejected. So we'll have to take a look at your account because there's not a way to remove projects unless you get removed from that project out of Ashtoware. And then it looks like David Kurz had a comment on the yield feature. If you ever want to reach out to me and have a one-off discussion on that, I'd be happy to walk through that. Or if you want, I would definitely recommend anybody to test out the yield calculator and put in, any legitimate real information on a project that they're working. And then happy to, if you want to give feedback to Travis and Jeremy, or we can all get on a quick call on the side and kind of talk through it, then be happy to do that. So can you filter on road name or foreman name and print a report just for those tickets from the mobile app? I don't know if we have that available on mobile. You definitely can do that on the web. So I'm going to pop the app back open, and then we do have the ability to search by uh, contractor, plant, and project. So you can type in the project name here. So if the road is in that name, then you can do that. Also, if you go to idle, apparently my internet connection is weak. This is where you're able to search and go back in time. So I'm not sure we're going to have all of that functionality at least available today to be able to search from the mobile app to download or print and report out on, but on the web you will be able to do that. And it looks like we had a comment about trucks not being in sequence often, which yeah, this might be the case. Let's see. If an inspector works in an area the entire day without a phone signal, must they hand enter every paper ticket? Currently, yes. So the truck drivers are going to need a paper copy anyways, because there's not a state where law enforcement has signed off on them not having a physical bill of lading in case they get pulled over. But also, there's currently not another solution for if you're working completely offline to be able to see on a mobile device or receive the information. So currently, as it stands, yes, if it's a site that's completely offline, they would have to take the paper and jot the information down in the app. The good thing is that even though that isn't preferred, obviously, and it's pretty much the same as grabbing the paper and writing down your notes, you're still logging everything digitally. And then when you go back into Signal, it automatically transmits everything you did instead of you having to write it on paper, keep the stack of paper collected, go back and then manually type that in for every single ticket. So it is still more beneficial, but obviously not ideal and not entirely digital when you're live out there on site. But it is digitized and will reconcile for everybody automatically without you having to go in after the shift and input the information. Yes. So Elmer Carrillo, will the tickets stay undelivered until someone marks them as delivered, or will the tickets automatically be marked as delivered by the end of the day? The tickets, unless somebody goes in and marks them delivered, which you can do, after the shift, but obviously, ideally, you're going to want to, confirm the appropriate date and time stamp and geolocation where that was received when you're out there on site. But the tickets will always stay in pending status unless somebody changes it to delivered or rejected. And then also the second part of your question, is there a way to mark multiple tickets as delivered at one time? Not on the mobile app, but you can do that on the web. But again, if you do it on the web on your computer after the shift, we're not going to have the appropriate date and timestamp as well as the geolocation in that case. But yes, you could select all tickets for the day and mark them delivered.
Sean, for the sake of time, if you want to continue on with the training, I know we still got to cover the web-based portion. We can still address all these questions afterwards, right?
Yeah, no problem at all. And whether it's after on this call or I'm going to mark. I'm going to set David Curtis's question at 2:59 as the next one, and then on down, making sure that we get those answered, whether that's today or just, I can reconcile the answers and send them to Jeremy, you, and Travis so that you can provide those out.
Okay, perfect.
So yeah, really good questions. Good to see a lot of questions versus not. So we'll definitely make sure we get everybody's answered that we did not today so far. All right, so moving on to the website. So where you go to sign in is going to be at our e-dot.com. You click sign in. and then you're going to click this eDOT agency, and it's going to launch the app. Once you click this, then you're going to go to a screen if you're SSO that you're going to see an SSO link at the bottom so that you can sign in through there. If not, if you're not a part of the state's SSO, then you'll just type in your password with your work email to get to what's going to look like this screen here. So this is our projects page. I'll kind of expand it a little bit. And this is where you're going to be able to view all projects that you have access to. You can see that there's a lot of jobs in the portal. I'm seeing every single project, but for you, you're going to be able to hover over and see your contract number along with the project name. If it's under construction, that means there's been at least one ticket generated for this. If you want to see a list of all the staff on the agency's behalf, so there's 32 folks that have access to this project. There's been one supplier that has supplied material. If you see this orange fire symbol, that means that this is actually live today, which up here we give you a time. So 2 minutes ago was the last truckload ticket for this project today. The fire symbol and the number here, this is how many days the project's been active. And then if you want to see, all the different material types here, then we're going to split that out here. You can click into this box and get an idea of all the materials that have been ticketed so far. And then down here for each project, you would be able to click in and see any flag tickets so far on the job, any rejected ones, any voided ones. So in this case, if we want to go look at the voided tickets for this job, I'm going to click that. And then it's going to bring me to kind of this view here. So I have it set to where I show all my dates first, and then I can expand to all my tickets by date. Every ticket is its own line here. And so I can click on any of these lines and then get the ticket. So this is a ticket number. It was put in voided status at 7:36 a.m. on the 28th. Here's the information. And then if I want to go look at the audit log, then I can see that Banks created this ticket at 7:36. We received that transmitted in our system at 7:37. And then, they voided this just minutes later at 7:41. So anything that happens to a ticket, we can easily draw your attention to it. If it's just in these buckets first, then you can click and go view those. But if you want to actually go view your project, you're just going to click into one. So there's one project I like to bring up because all the tickets, have been marked. Let me just pull that project up really quick. So you can search by your file number, you can search by your project name, and you can search by supplier, and it'll only pull up the projects for that supplier that you have access to. But if you want to view all the project and get all the features on the web, then you're just going to go to your project and just click in this general area. And then it's going to give you this expanded view. So you're going to have all the ticket status buckets here to reference. We consider a modified ticket a ticket that hasn't been voided, but after it was generated, there's certain fields that might have been adjusted. So maybe the mix type or the weight or another key field that could affect payment, we would bring your attention to that here. Now, suppliers' loadout systems can't adjust tickets usually after 1 day. There's a lot of restriction there. You're probably usually never going to see modifications to a ticket here, and you're never going to see that unless it's during the shift, generally. So that's just something to note. If there ever is one, you'll be able to click it just like we did for the voided tickets and view what was modified, when, and you can reach out to the contractor supplier if you need to. And then obviously here we show all of our delivered tickets. So before I jump into there, if you want to, you can view a map of this project and click view map. And then I'm going to see on this project, the geolocation for each ticket. And if I want, I can actually hover over and click. And it'll take me to that ticket number for Palmetto, the date and time stamp, the load count, the quantity. And then if I click one more time on the ticket I selected, it's going to pull that out for my view here. So this was a delivered ticket. Here's all my information. Here's the weights. Here's the pay item code. And then here's the inspector, the date and timestamp that this was actually accepted. And then I had added some notes and added for this base course, I'd added the pay code for this example sake for y'all to see here. So again, we can go look at the audit log, everything that's happened to the ticket. So when the project was live on the 16th of January, Martin accepted that. He accepted this ticket, and then you can see here me today. I added some notes, some testing notes, and added a pay code. So if I want to download this slip, I could, just this individual one as a PDF ticket. If you want to get an idea of what that looks like, I'll go ahead and download this really quick. And this is what that would look like as a PDF. So from here, if I want to, this is where at the end of a shift, if you need to go back to a ticket, click more actions, maybe you need to edit the pay code or clear the pay code or add some more notes to this, then you can do that at any point. But this is just kind of a cool visual just to see if you want to filter on tickets, say you want to filter on all tickets that have notes applied to them or a pay code, you can do that. Or maybe I want to see all the tickets that have temps tracked or input on them by the inspector. You can do that and then click on that ticket to get the information or blow it up and see more of the information. So if I want to go and look at all the tickets that have been marked as delivered, I'm going to click the delivered bucket for 63 total loads. For you all, if it's your first time viewing this, your screen's probably going to look more like this, which is going to be no grouped columns is what we call it. So you can group by date, by plant, you can group by product mix. You can essentially customize this table view when you're looking at tickets however you want. So if I want to click, we're always going to start with the most recent ticket at the top in this view. So as we were looking, this is how another way I can go view the ticket information. But if I want to group by date and say for the 17th, I want to select all and I want to download all these slips into Excel as a CSV Excel file or download them all in one PDF file, but one page for each ticket in that file, then I can do that. Just hit download or email me. If you're going to do PDF and it's like 100+ tickets, it's going to be a big file. So I would click the email me button just so you're not sitting there at a download bar. But when it comes to Excel, you could be 1,000+ tickets and it's not going to take that long to download. So again, I can group by date. If I want to group by date and product description, then I'm going to click and drag any of the column headers I want in whatever order. And then I'm going to expand by date. And then I'm going to be able to expand by product description if there were multiple products that were actually hauled to the job site this day. And then I'm going to get to the tickets view just under that, description or just under whatever, columns that I'm trying to see it in. Another thing you can do is select all and hit code by materials. And if you do that, then you're going to essentially, if you just wanted to confirm delivery out in the field on the app but not apply the pay codes, this is one way you could apply the pay codes. But another way as well is I'm going to back out and I'm going to go down to pay period. And I can see for the total project so far, there's been 57 ticketed loads that were received and had a pay code applied to that material tonnage that was for each ticket. And then there's 5 left uncoded. So if I want to click on these uncoded ones, they were all on the 17th. This is the same type of grid, view that we were just looking at. When it's your first time, you might see it already just line by line. But if you want to group it by date, you can. And then I could select a ticket individually, and I could split the ticket if I want. and search by pay code and say I just want to set it to service course type E in this case, just for example's sake. Then I can click that. And then if I need to go to contractor or project, if there is multiple contractors for any reason, I can do that. You can select more than one and then just hit, oh, I'm sorry. That's why it's not telling me I can confirm. Then it's going to ask you, do you want to use the total net tonnage? Or in this case, I'm splitting this total truckload quantity of 21.3 net tons across these two different pay items. So then I could say 10 tons should be allocated to this pay item code and 11.3 should be allocated to this pay item code. And then I'm going to confirm. And then it's going to fall out of my view because I'm looking at uncoded tickets. In the same sense, if I want to expand and select all and code the materials all at one time, you can hit code by material, or you could hit quick assign if all the tickets that you're selecting are just going to be under one pay code. So if I want to search and say, hey, code all of the tonnage for all these tickets under course type A, then it's going to automatically assume that it's going to be the net tonnage for each load, which would be a total of 83.37 net tons. And I'm going to hit confirm. And now there's no more, tickets to pay code. I'm going to back out. And then all of the tickets have been coded under this pay period. So the pay periods can be closed at any point, which just means that if the job started on January 1st and on January 30th, all the delivered tickets have been coded, then somebody can close this pay period out so that then you're actually going to have all of your aggregated totals for pay period 1, which would be just within that time range of January, for example. And then it would automatically take you to pay period 2. And then if the job kept going, then you would just code the tickets either out in the field or back here on the web. And this will allow you to provide a report. So we have certain reports, some are automated, one in particular is automated, and then 2 are manual. So we have a delivery report, which you can set up your email, just hit create report, click auto send. You're going to designate this to send to your email every morning at this time, or it could be an evening. Whatever time that you set will be for everybody who has access to this project to receive this. And then you're going to say that every shift should be encompassed, or it should encompass every truckload between this start time and this end time. So by default, we have it at a 24-hour period, essentially. And it kind of gives you the description as to what time range and what dates. This will always summarize if the project actually ran. If the project doesn't run, whether it's a day or night shift, then the next day you're not going to get this. It's essentially we call it a delivery report, which is like a daily summary laydown report. So you can also just download it manually on demand. And what that looks like is you would just go to the date that, maybe it last ran or that you need summarized, and then you can just click download here. I'm going to pop that open, expand this a little bit. So then I'm going to show this project here. This is going to summarize the 17th at 4:50 a.m. to January 18th at 4:49 a.m. It's this base A. Here's the mix ID. There were 32 loads for a total of 668.32 net tons that were delivered by the inspector. So received. None were left in pending status, none were rejected, and no tickets had waste applied to them. And then we're going to show you the pay code breakout if there was a pay code. So in this case, I added these 2 pay codes. We're going to show you the quantity by pay code. It looks like maybe for certain quantities we might have a UI issue, so we can resolve that. And then as we go down, then we're going to show you list by list each truckload ticket that encompasses your summary. So starting with load 1 all the way down to load 32 for the day. So this is to give you, in this, how we have it set up now is your supplier, ticket number, what time was it ticketed at the plant, the truck number, the load number, your product description, the primary pay code, and then we have the gross weight, the tare weight. The number here represents the net total weight of the material that was accepted or rejected by the agency. So in this case, everything was delivered, but if it was a red exclamation mark, that means that the total net tonnage would have been rejected. And then this is just a timestamp relaying when the material was accepted out on site. So this can be adjusted to some degree as far as these columns go. Obviously, since it's a PDF, there's a limited amount of space. If we try to squeeze in too much column information, then it would look smushed. But all of our information can be downloaded into Excel as well. Just by going to the tickets page and selecting all and downloading, and you can encompass all field information at that point. But for this daily summary report, if there's any recommendations or feedback, happy to look at adjusting what information we're showing here, just as you guys start using it. And I definitely recommend for any projects you're working to set it up as an automatic report, so that every morning, for example, you're receiving yesterday or yesternight's shift summary report. So we have two other reports. One is a finals report that you can create, and you can pick any of these quick select filters, and then you can kind of read. It'll give you a little bit of detail, like, hey, if you choose this option, we're going to break out. It's going to be like one Excel sheet or two Excel sheets broken out by supplier and by material by day. For example, you can click only delivered tickets, and unlike the delivery report we were looking at, this is going to be an Excel sheet that has a summary, and you can run this over a span of time. So if the project started or has been running and you want to see all of February, you can click February 1 for your start date. You can click February 28th, and then the start and end time for day one and the last day that you want to run this on, and then you can download or have it emailed to you. So that will look something like this for this project. So it's going to be the start time, the 16th. So this project only ran 2 days, the 16th and the 17th. It's going to give me the summary of the job up here, and then it's going to give me load one and all my information. And then here's the total of number of loads for the job and the total net quantity of material that was actually received or marked as delivered. So that can be downloaded and sent off, or if any estimators have access to this, they can obviously run these reports as they would like to, instead of having inspectors send it off to them. The whole point of our portal is to provide as much real-time information as possible that's accessible to as many people, so that we're limiting one, cost of paper being used, but also time efficiency. Hey, no need to pass along, reports, going into the future. We want to help every state get to a point where they can have more automation and have more individual kind of freedom to go see what they need to see that typically maybe they waited for somebody to pass along to them, in the back office, for a specific project. So our last report here is a reconciliation report. So you can create this report, and this is very simple and straightforward. Kind of how I was showing how you can, close out a pay period, summarizing all of the delivered tickets that have been pay coded. You can do that. So in this case, pay period 1 is still in progress because I didn't close it out, for example's sake. But you can just have this emailed to you. I like clicking the download all the coded tickets as well in Excel to be included. And what this looks like is going to be one Excel sheet here. I'll try to make this a little bit bigger as well. So we're going to give you a summary, and then it's going to break down all the same information we were looking at on our delivery report and finals report, essentially, except we're going to actually show you the line item, the pay item code, the pay item description, the estimated quantity for the total job, And then we're going to give you so far total to date, you've actually accepted and received this amount of tonnage for this pay item quantity, which gives you, as of today, a balance of 5,312 tons, per your estimation. And the estimation and the line item, pay item codes, that's all fed in through AWP. And then on another tab, this is where it has the line by line ticket item or ticket numbers along with the net tonnage and the line item, pay item codes that make up this summary here. And that's pretty much it. You can see this box here. This is a AI generated report. So if you guys are actually marking all your tickets, there's a lot of cool things we can do and continue to work on and build that give you these kind of worded summaries or listed summaries of what happened on the job for a day. We can pull in, like, because we're geolocating the tickets and your devices out there, we can pull in, hey, what was the weather at the start of the shift? And at the end of the shift, what were the weather conditions? When did the job officially start based on the first ticket loaded out versus when it ended? We can pretty much look at building anything here based on the action that's being taken on site. So any ideas of, something we could set up so that it's something you typically try to track down and make it automated, at any point, any insight or feedback is welcome. So. And it looks like we're approaching time here, so I will stop there. And Jeremy and Travis, do we want to run through any questions, or do we want to follow up on all questions that are in the chat currently since the last one that we addressed?
We got a couple of minutes. I do like the idea of still taking all these questions and, kind of reposting answers to everyone and sending it out in case someone wants to go back and look. Maybe they missed something that we said. I'm trying to scroll back to see where we left off.
It should be around 2:59 p.m. And I think I marked it. Oh, yeah. It's David Curtis's question. Could you just scan the trucker's ticket and edit it for reference? So that isn't a bad question, actually. So through our document scanner that I was showing, you could do that and have it for reference, but we don't have, as of today, even though you would scan the document. So I'm going to pull up my phone screen again, go to the document scanner. So if you scan it as a PDF, you could do that, but we don't have any tools that are pulling out certain information and inputting it in like our notes section of the tickets. Maybe I think that could be a potential possibility we've talked about of, hey, if you scan a document using our document scanner, can we have an AI tool that actually views it and pulls out certain relevant information that's on that document into a formatted field or fields? That's definitely something that's a possibility that we could look at, going forward. And so it looks like Nolan, maybe this is more just like a clarification statement, but unless there is no signal, which Jeremy and Travis, I'm assuming, sorry, that you guys know, almost every time if a job site's not going to have signal, so thus they would know before the job starts to collect paper tickets. Is that right?
Yeah. The intent here is no, we will not be collecting those paper tickets. And just so everyone on the call is aware, we're still finalizing just a couple of contractors with their integration. So while we are using it and we encourage everyone to use it, we understand that not everyone is going to be able to until every contractor that we use is integrated in the system. So for now, if a contractor is not sending electronic tickets, by all means, still collect your paper tickets. But again, hopefully by July 1st, we have we intend to have everyone electronic to where no, you do not have to collect those paper tickets.
Got it. Yeah, maybe that's an extra clarification for anyone wondering if they have to collect every project then. So that's good. And then let's say we got one more. Could there be a QR code on the ticket for when someone is out of service? They can just scan instead of typing. I don't know if QR codes are on the paper tickets already, but we do not currently have a QR code scanner built in, just the document scanner, which is more just like a visual of the document. So there could be opportunities there. I'm assuming if there's no QR codes on the tickets today, that would have to be something that would be talked with industry on, so that when they're printing those out at the plant, that would be included. So Zach Carnahan, I've run into issues with filtering out the tickets I want, but the download will still include other dates I didn't necessarily want. Has anyone else had this or a similar issue? Zach, if you want to email me or email Travis and Jeremy with the example, maybe just send one screenshot of before you hit download, this is what your setup is, then I can be happy to look into that and see if there's any bug or UI issues causing it to still pull in other tickets that you're not trying to download. So yeah, go ahead and if you don't mind just sending a screenshot of an example before you hit the download button of how you have it set up or filtered, then I'll look at that and get that addressed. So Tina Feaster, will there be a manual on everything that you are going over today? There's not a manual, but this is recorded. And what I definitely recommend everybody to do is to go to our website, e-dot.com, go to HaulHub University. And then you would go to agency. And then just click eDOT agency for mobile and web. The whole entire lesson plan is 15 minutes. But if we click into here, you're going to register for free one time. And then once you do, you'll go back and it'll have your information saved here. Just hit sign in. And then you can actually watch 1 to 2 to 3 minute clips of everything I've gone over today, summarized just for that one feature. So like if you just need to understand again how, managing tickets. So like what are some good ways to view and sort and download? You could just watch the managing tickets view. If you just have if you want to get a refresher back on the offline mode and how you enter in the ticket, if you collect it out there, you can just watch that instead of watching like this whole entire presentation and fast forwarding and stuff. So yeah, definitely would recommend going to, again, it's just eDOT, and you'll see the HaulHub University link, and then the agency portal overview for eDOT web and mobile. I can definitely send the direct link out as well to everybody, which I'll do after this for additional training. So Wei, I see you have a good question on, is there a way to download the data for multiple contracts? As of now, there's not, but we have heard that feedback from other states. So that is something that I will kind of poke our product team on to see if we can get that so that you guys are able to download information across multiple contracts. So Tim, does the website have to sync with the mobile app? So all AWP feeds our portal, all the contract and file number information every night, and that is available, that is synced up on both our mobile and web portal. But on the mobile app, you don't actually see tickets, or you don't actually see your project here until there's actually been one ticket that's been actually connected to it, which is that calibration process. So unless the project's been connected, you wouldn't see the project on mobile, but you could reference it on the web, and you would reference it as, let me go to this filter here. You would reference it as a bid status project. So it just means that it's already been bid on, but it hasn't started construction yet. So it automatically, you wouldn't click start project, but the project would automatically start once a ticket has been calibrated, and that is only when you would be able to reference it on the mobile side. So if you're supposed to have access to a project and you're not finding it on this page, try going to this filter button here and just select bid and save and see if you're able to find it. If you still don't see it, then that means that you're probably not actually assigned to the project in our system, being fed in from AWP. And I think that pretty much wraps up all the questions looking at this. So Zach, no problem. I'll be on the lookout, for that email. Whether that's, if you want to send it directly to me, you can. My email is just Sean, SEAN.Miller, MILLER @haulhub.com. But anyone who emails anything or any questions into Travis and Jeremy, I'm meeting with them on a weekly and bi-weekly basis. So, we'll be covering off on all questions at any time, regardless if you had, posted it in the chat today or not. So appreciate your all's time. And Jeremy, Travis, any final words or anything?
No, very good. Thanks, Sean.
Yeah, no problem. Excited to work with y'all. So, yeah, we'll just get the ball rolling. There's been a lot of projects flowing through and calibrated. So, just recommend everybody to get out there and start playing with the app and marking the tickets so you can get used to it. Thank y'all. Y'all have a good rest of your afternoon.